today, as we mentioned, we're going to really dive into really our friendship and different dynamics of our friendship and how that's really poured into other areas of our life. I think whenever people meet us, it's a good time. I feel like we like to, get close to people, but they always ask about our friendship. And, I think we've gotten a few comments here, which really inspired this topic while we're talking about it, of how we're so close and that trust and loyalty. And I think that just really shines, when you have it. So we really want to uncover that, go into just deeper topic on values, trust, and really what has carried our friendship throughout the last few years, 7 years. Oh my gosh.
We're almost getting to decade.
Oh, wow. Don't tell them how old we are.
And that's what inspired this podcast, really, because we kept getting comments from people.
We did.
And so we're like, okay, well, let's talk about it.
We're like, okay, well, let's make that happen.
We're here.
So let's get into it. So I want to ask you just a few questions so our listeners can just learn a little bit more about what's important to us as friends. But what do you think is like the most important value? Because we've talked about it in our previous podcasts, but what's like a pinnacle important value that we share in our friendship?
Honesty, trust, and respect. I mean, I think those are key value in probably in any relationship you can have, but it is so important. And sometimes it takes time. It doesn't come overnight, but I think because we just got along so well instantly from the beginning. And the main thing is like, because I know how kind you are to people and you just love people. And that's something that I feel I can relate to. And I love that, So I think our love for people also kind of, and ours, is it called empathy or sympathy? Because
it's empathy. I actually took a course or like a training at one of my jobs, and it was like sympathy versus empathy. And it's empathy is like you feel for people. Sympathy is like you feel bad for them. You're like, oh, sorry. Oh. Empathy is like, I feel you.
Okay.
Like,
so it's empathy.
Yeah.
Have empathy for people. And then from there, I think that's where, over the course of time and the years that we've been around, and obviously different challenges that came our way in our personal life, we've always been there for each other through thick and thin. And also it's just understanding. Sometimes people expect a lot from people, and you have to also have understanding of what it is that they might be going through. And it really is, sometimes it's not even about, you and it's, I think in other friendship that I see, that they just expect so much from, whether it's your partner, but we're talking about friendship here today, and they get upset and they do this but in reality, it's like if your foundation is strong and like you're solid, we always say we're homies.
Yeah, we are.
Or bros.
We are bros.
It says it in the Bible. Yeah. Didn't I send it to you?
Oh yeah. You did.
So yeah, I think that's like the main thing, the honesty, trust. And what was the other thing that I said? Honesty, trust, respect. That's the core value for sure.
No, and I appreciate you saying that, because that's really a big reason why I feel close to you, is that I know you have the best heart for people. And when you're bringing people in your circle and you're around them and you're close to them, that is so important. And if you're good to people, I know that you have a good heart. I can have you around me. And like you mentioned, things happen. We've had so many seasons in our lives already. And I'm so excited to just continue to grow older with you in my circle. But with that, we have to give each other grace. And it's allowing each other to grow. And let's touch on that, because to maintain trust, honesty, respect, all those great values, we're growing. And I think sometimes where I see friends fall off or get into arguments or they have jealousy rise is when there's growth. And I don't wish that for anybody. because I would love to see
No,
two
no,
people grow
no.
together who are close and friends. But sometimes that what happens is one grows or one's, intentional. And I think that's something that we've always done very well is we can become a better version of ourselves. Sometimes there's setbacks and challenges, but we always continue to, 1 foot forward, 1 foot forward. But we encourage each other.
Yeah,
support.
support.
Exactly. We support each other and we're not trying to keep each other small. No, we don't want that. So it's unfortunately, though, very common with people that aren't encouraging each other like that.
Yeah, especially a woman.
Yeah, woman. It can be a little different dynamic.
Yeah, you don't want to be around those people,
Yeah.
but I think people are human, and if they're not working on themselves and self-developing, it's easy to get jealous because they're not. And jealousy comes from like they're not happy within, and maybe it's something that they want change, but they're not taking action for it. So then they take it out on the other person instead. It's like, why do they have something when, and in reality, you just need a reality check that you need to just continue to grow and move forward, and you can also have a thriving life. But yeah, I think it's super valuable, and I think I want to touch on honesty as well. Having a safe space where people like, and that goes into judgment too, right? We're always like judgment free zone, and that's why it allows us to be honest with and open to each other, and whatever is that we're going through, like it's we know a lot about each other. Policy. Only to each other.
Yeah, right. No,
doesn't leave.
But that's so important. Scouts honor. We have a funny thing we'll share with you guys one day. But basically, we promise to keep it within, our conversation, what we're telling each other. And there's a lot of peace and relief with that. I trust you. I can tell you things, And so, question here that I think is good to touch on because we're not always perfect, but man, we get through things. Can you just share a time where our friendship was tested or maybe we ran into a challenge? If we ever did, to be honest, but
I think you're gonna say that one time.
There's one time, you guys, we ever got in a fight, truly.
I was so confused.
We were out. It was like we were out with friends and had a few drinks. And this is early 20s.
We don't do that now.
Yeah, we don't do that. But we got in an argument, and it was our first argument. And then the next day, we were over it. We woke up and we're fine. But anyway,
I don't even know.
But let's talk about more in the sense that maybe things aren't going our way and things aren't going right personally. Do you feel like that's ever tested our friendship in any way?
I mean, the only thing I could think of, maybe this would be something new, is I think when she was getting in a relationship and it was just like starting, it was the only thing I could think is because obviously, like, she's occupied and she's getting to know her now fiance, so and it went from obviously just it, and with that there's different, you're not going to get the same time, and there's gonna things are going to change, right? During that time, which I was happy for, but then sometimes when I would be so I started to make friends and things, and I was respecting your space. And I think when he would go out of town, then you were like, I'm free. And then I was like, what the heck? Like, it was just like all of a sudden. And but I think I just learned that, and I think from you learned also, and we started learning it. That's the growing part, just like learning boundaries within each other, and respecting each other's boundary. And then just think we're growing. We've been friends since we're like little, I mean not little, but
Feels like
in our early 20s.
Absolutely.
So there is going to be a lot of big different seasons in our life, and when something changes in your friendship, it's just kind of going through that and like maneuver away like what works. And that's the only thing I could like really think of that was like
and that's kind of, I mean, it's something I felt, and I never felt like it was a big issue,
Mhm.
but I definitely felt a shift. And it was on my end, I had to learn how to, I didn't want to be that friend to just fall off the face of the earth because
Mhm.
I got in a serious relationship.
Mhm.
But I also had to learn how to commit to my partner, but also commit to my best friend. And
Mhm.
it's different, right? That
Mhm.
journey. So I remember like there would be times where I had to just understand that, hey, you had plans
Mhm.
because, right, I was doing what I was doing with my partner. And
Mhm.
I had to really learn that boundary too, like that respect for you and
Mhm.
understanding that you can't drop everything and just be available and vice versa. But it was different because we went from being
Yeah.
roommates, super close,
We're like,
doing,
hey.
you're like, what happened here? And no, it's so good to touch on because I feel like that can be a serious issue for some friends. Like you see friends
Yeah.
like literally just stop being friends
Mhm.
because a partner came in the
Yeah.
situation in the picture. And I never wanted that to be
Mhm.
us,
Mhm.
but I feel like we had to evolve and
Mhm.
understand each other as like a new territory
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of grace and understanding
Mhm.
where sometimes you're in your own head and you're thinking like taking it personal,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful that we didn't do that.
Yeah.
It was definitely different than when we first were roommates and around
Yeah.
each other all the time. But I really appreciate you for
I appreciate
giving
you.
me that space and allowing me just to figure it out without hating me. No. No, but it's all
Oh
love,
my
like
gosh.
always
Yeah.
all love, you know?
And I think actually that's a good point is you said a lot of times people when you get into relationship the friend like falls off and they're no longer friends anymore, but I think that's what also makes our like friendship really amazing. We always say we are awesome.
We are so
We
awesome.
tell ourselves just unto each other,
Sorry if you don't
positive
agree, but
affirmation.
we think it. We know we're awesome.
And because through you being in relationship and me being single, we never really kind of like dwindled, like just like that little example is like just something that we had to just understand and change over the course of time
Mhm.
of that boundary, but we've always stayed at core and we've always been like super close throughout it
Mhm.
all. And so just because you get into a new relationship does not mean you have to drop everything. And if your partner is secluding you and like making you be isolated, and that's not so good.
Mm-mm. It's not too healthy at all.
So it's just yeah, I think that's what makes also especially
Mhm.
because we go through our personal journey,
Mhm.
outside of that, but continue to grow in our friendship is also like something that I give credit to us.
Me
you know
too. We did it. We're still doing it,
yeah.
and we evolve, but I think that's really important to touch on because we're nearing that time too where we want to, grow a family.
Hmm.
And so it's so different from being in our early 20s to where we're at now.
It's wild.
So
It's
crazy.
gonna be wild when we have kids and
Little
they're
mini
just like
me's
hanging out and then
laughing, being nuts.
but yeah, that definitely makes it special. And I think now what are some things that we have done to kind of keep our friendship, because obviously I just mentioned that we
Mhm.
were continue to be able to stay at core and
Mhm.
grow, like, but what are some key points through different phase of our friendship
Mhm.
that we've been able to do that?
Yeah, I think mostly it's been self-improving.
Hmm.
Like if you're
Hmm.
not feeling your best, I'm not feeling my best, we're not going to show up for each other that way.
Hmm.
So luckily and thank God that we always have wanted to become better people,
Hmm.
whether it's mentally, physically, spiritually.
Yeah.
So we're always trying to become better
Yeah.
individually. So that's helped us go through certain seasons and challenges with each other.
Hmm.
Also, just communication.
Hmm.
I want to share things that maybe there's certain things that I wait to tell you at a certain time, but
Hmm.
I always want to tell you certain things
Hmm.
that I feel maybe I don't want to just assume.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think that's a big lesson for me that I had to really understand with, you know, building stronger relationships is not assuming.
Hmm.
Don't
She thinks
assume.
I'm like so touched. It's like, are we fighting?
Yeah, she won't talk to me for like 2 days. And I'm like, Same thing though. That's another thing, you guys. Is
we don't talk that much.
Yeah, we tell each other like we really don't talk that much, but we're like best friends.
I know.
She's very low maintenance. Okay.
Yeah, and like it was funny because when you're like, I went to Anj, and I was like, we really don't.
Oh,
He thinks like we're hanging out all the time at the office.
My fiance, because we're always together here, right? We have the office together, but I'm like, babe, we haven't talked. Like, I haven't talked to Ellie for like a week. He's like, how do you guys not talk? And I'm like, we just don't have time.
We look at each other.
We look at each other. Hey, you're good. All right, gotta go to the meeting. Like back to backs. Like, so it's really nice. Hi and bye. You're good. You're live. But yeah, just having that grace and understanding that don't take things personal, communicate when something's up. Also, just always try to be understanding because you live your own life and don't assume, right? All those key points is what really has helped, I feel like, us go through certain things. Yeah. But also like seeing potential in each other, that belief in each other, like that support, belief when there's no one else, like you got me, I got you, you just us.
Throw it down.
Yeah, always got each other's back. And that has helped me so much in life. Yeah. Is I don't feel the need to have so many people in around me or a bunch of friendships that it's like quality over quantity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I love people. Like I will love on you, talk to you, stop what I'm doing and be present with you. But to spend majority of my time, like that 80%, 20%, right? You want to spend 80% with the people that are really feeding into you. Yeah. 20% with the people that maybe are just acquaintances or maybe it's a passing moment. But yeah, just very intentional.
And spending, because I just said we don't get to talk to each other that much. But I think we also do a checkpoint of like just having some quality time. Like we're like, bro, we haven't talked to each other and like,
yeah, what's happening? What's going on this week? How are you?
We have to hide somewhere, get lunch, and like, and that like definitely what is fulfill or what is that? See again today. I can't talk.
It's a relief.
If
I feel relieved.
Yeah, relief and just feel heart being full. Yeah, because as women, I don't know if guys are like that, but as women, I feel like it's so good to have one another and just whether it's you're just catching up about life and personal, because we're in business and a lot of the times we have to talk about business, we have to talk about things that are happening and just get things done, right? So even if we're talking, sometimes it's literally just like about business and we're goofy, throughout it, whatever, but it's really important to get that quality time with you, yes. And that's why we might,
I love our quality time. Absolutely. You gotta like just make time for each other. And that's the big point, you guys, is with anything that's worth it, you, right? My family, my spouse, people that I really like in our team and our office, like I love blocking out that time. It's like
so important.
It's so important because lifetime, it will pull you in different directions. So you have to make sure that you're blocking out that time. And me and you do it. We have our calendar. We're like, hey, if it's not on there, we're not hanging out. And that's even for our friendship, our quality time. Yeah. We're like, hey, like we have something blocked out after this. So, but that's what you got to do when you are working on, let's say, a job full-time or a business, or you're, a parent and you're pulled in different directions. Like I can only imagine when we have kids, but that's going to be something.
That's why we're going to live next to each other.
Yeah, we have to. Cause go real quick.
Open the door.
Definitely. But it's just making that time, right? And being present is very important because we can spend as much time, an hour together, but if we're not present, seeing each other through, it's kind of not worth that time. And I've never felt that with you, and I joke around because we talk about our love languages, you guys, and there's like quality time, touch, what is it, words of affirmation, gifts, acts of service, and like my top two are quality time and like physical touch. And that's like with my partner, but I just kind of make it funny. And I'm like, Ellie, why aren't you looking at me? I need you to look at me. She's not looking.
I'll
And
be like doing something and I'm like in the mid and then she's like talking. She's like, okay. And then she
stops
stops.
talking.
And then I'm like, what? She's like, I need your undivided attention. I'm like, okay.
Side note, but
Love
yeah,
it. Though.
so
I
just
love it.
understanding each other, right, and
Yeah.
how we operate. But I have some great, I think a good question here is,
Throw it.
in what ways do you feel that we push each other closer to like our goals and our dreams? Because there's things that you've shared with me and I've shared with you that we really want to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, right, the adversity comes or we're not seeing that through. Like, how do we help each other stay on track and really push each other towards those goals and dreams, would you say?
I think because we know those goals and dreams of each other and what we're about when times get tough, it's just like reminding one another how great you are, the affirmation, like how far you've come, and just because sometimes when you're in it yourself, it's hard to see, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
hard to see the growth that you've had, but in reality, the last 30, 60, 90 days, a year, you've elevated into a different person, if you're
Mm-hmm.
focusing on self-development. So I think it's just when you're in certain situation, you're feeling that moment, it's just well, we let each other vent,
Mm-hmm.
that but it doesn't go farther than that. It's just like me and
Mm-hmm.
you venting, and then we have taken action plan right away, and then we
Mm-hmm.
remind each other, okay, well, think this way, and but look how much far you've come, and
Mm-hmm.
just being that light
Mm-hmm.
um has really helped, I think, when we get stuck in moments, and knowing that we truly want the best for each other, like to the core. So whatever we say to each other, it's in the best interest, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just having somebody next to you that again, it goes back to trust, because what if you trust each other and you have the best intention, you're not going to take offense to it, and you're like, you appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
so I think that I would say that that's
What
the.
pushes us forward.
Mhm.
No, and
what
I
would you what would you say?
I would totally agree with all of that. And one other thing too is we challenge each other.
Mhm,
Like it goes hand in hand with remembering where you've come, how far you've gone, but like don't stop.
mhm,
Or like, hey, we are human, or I love to vent to you
mhm,
because I feel safe. I feel like
mhm.
I can. But it's also that, hey, let me put my big girl pants on, right? My panties on.
Chonies, chonies,
My
put your
chonies
chonies
on.
on.
And you remind me, those challenges of just, hey, do this or think this way. It's just a shift.
Mhm,
And sometimes you just need that from someone that
yeah.
cares and that
Mhm,
loves you. And it's not coming from a place of that selfishness
yeah.
so I think that's what's really helped us
Mhm.
and having a fun, good time. Like
Don't
one of
like.
the M's. We have the best time
I know.
together, even if it's like an hour. It's like, oh, okay, I feel good
Yeah,
today.
I feel better now. Like.
Our cup is full. No, it's so important though,
Yeah.
having fun and enjoying each other's company. It's
Mhm,
it's so important. So those are some of the things that keep us going in our friendship.
mhm.
And as far as what you're gonna say something, I saw your hands go up.
No, I'm trying to think. What if somebody's listening right now and they don't have a good community? How can someone start
Mm,
to maybe seek out, and how can someone get to a position where, because a lot of times they're like, I wish I had that friendship and such and such, but how can someone right now, if they feel like they're alone or they don't have good friends, like how can they like
get
build that?
out there.
Hmm.
Well, first, we've kind of touched on this on one of like the culture podcasts, but it's very, very disposable. Like you have a lot of different ways that you can be around people.
Hmm.
And I think the first thing to think of, like if I can go back and think, okay, if I'm self-developing or
Hmm.
I'm growing right now and my circle's getting small, maybe I had to like distance myself from some people and I'm
Hmm.
seeking better relationships.
Hmm.
One cool example that I actually went through
Ooh, cool.
was I was at the gym, me and my fiance,
Hmm.
and we were stretching and just
Hmm.
doing our thing. And I think just by you doing whatever you're doing, people are always watching. And there was a couple that was working out, and I've seen them before. You could tell they're consistent. They got the discipline, very, toned, and they're definitely, in the gym.
Mhm.
And the girl came up to me, never talked to her ever, and she came
Mhm.
up to me and she just asked, how did you get so flexible, or what's your stretches, just like broke the ice
Uh-huh.
literally. And she's not one to, after she shared with me, she's not one to go out there and just do that, but she saw us be consistent. So finding people that you want to become more like, or that you can learn or grow from, is
Absolutely.
something that you can definitely do. And it's going to be a little uncomfortable. It's kind of like when that guy asked the girl out,
Mhm.
or maybe vice versa, is you got to take that leap of faith and
Yeah.
just, hey, ask that question or be curious. And I think on the opposite side, for me, it was
Mhm.
super like fulfilling, because it was like, man, I can impact somebody I didn't even know, and
Yeah.
it was just such a good feeling. So of course I'm going to pour into her. Of course I'm going to, just spend time with her. And like 3 hours passed and we were still talking in the gym. We
Mhm.
became friends, right? So that is just an example of seeking to be around people that you want to be more like, or learn from, or share the same values.
Mhm.
Another thing I'd say too is get into communities, right? Like the Bible study. That's
Mhm.
definitely a safe space of people that are really trying to chase that same growth spiritually.
Mhm.
So your church, right? Be around people that have the same values, I think is super
Yes.
key, but maybe
Yep.
you can grow and learn from.
Mhm.
And of course,
100%.
social media is a big thing.
Yeah.
And we always say good and bad with that, but that's a good avenue, I feel,
Mhm.
that you can connect with people from
Yeah.
different states, your community around you, your city, and really just, again, initiate that conversation.
Yeah. One of my friend, Jenny, Jenny Zito,
Mm-hmm.
we became friends through like social media, Instagram, and because we were constantly like posting foods, like
Mm-hmm.
we're foodie, and then that's how we just broke the ice and we became friends, and we've been friends for a while now. But a lot of people actually are. It, you're scared of saying, and I do this too. It's like when you see people, you don't really. I feel like I'm an introvert sometimes. I mean, definitely half.
Mm-hmm.
But when you actually go out of your way, like she did, to say hi or like smile at people and just kind of break the ice, you'd be surprised how many people are actually so like happy that you
Mm-hmm.
talk to them.
100%.
And you'll be really surprised. So like take that chance, take that faith, and break out of that shell, because you know if you're constantly just a, in a little circle of, maybe you're just home and you're not putting yourself out there, we can expect our environment to change when we're
Mm-hmm.
not going out of the way to do that. Nobody's
Absolutely.
gonna knock on your door and have like bring a best
Hey,
friend
be my friend,
deliver.
yo. No, it's so
We
true.
have to work on ourselves, and we have to challenge ourselves. That's where it starts, and all the great people are gonna come. And I truly feel like we always talk about our team, but just because they are our friends, and we
Absolutely.
spend time with them, and just our family, and each other, and other friends that we do keep around us, is we, and people always say, oh, you have great people around you, and that's kind of their excuse of like, well, you just have great friends. I'm like, that didn't
Mm-hmm.
just come with, like, you attract who you are also. And as you're constantly working on yourself, God will bring you more people to be
Mm-hmm.
able to share the life that you're trying to create, and continue to be in that journey and that path. So again, it just starts with you,
Mm-hmm.
wanting that and taking action to do so. So I love it.
Absolutely.
Thank
Yes. Of
you.
course.
Amazing.
Well, and one thing I think we can touch on too is we're not always in agreement. So share some ways that you feel. And again, I'd like to know too, it's like how you feel when we're not on the same page, right? And we disagree and we know it. Like we're like,
Mhm.
we're not seeing the same vision here. Like it's not
I wanted to wear sweatpants today.
Yeah, let's start with that. She wanted to wear sweatpants. I'm wearing jeans. It's just we weren't seeing the same vision. But
um,
how did we overcome this, right? And I think like how do we get back on the same page?
I don't know.
And
I guess I don't know. Actually, I think it was just it's like so silly, you know, and then we're like we just laugh through it all because it's not that serious. And I'm like, yeah, and then today, I mean, I'm like, like we couldn't find anything, or just put it on and show up, you know, and get it done.
Right.
Disagreements. Well, what are specific? Because then
Yeah.
can't think of like anything right
I
now.
mean,
But
I feel like there's times like, let's say even doing this podcast, like we both bring out each other's strengths, right? And like even in business, with how we train and what we do with our clients and how we present and all that stuff, right? We really try to be aligned, but we do things a little different. And I mean, it's kind of hard because we don't really disagree, but I'm trying to really go into. Are we fighting? No, but I'm really trying to go into it because that is pretty, you know, common where people disagree and there might be some friction. How would you say that we've been able to just, because you said we laugh it off, right? And we don't take it serious, right? Do you feel like that goes hand in hand with because we don't take things personal?
Yeah, I think we've just grown to not take things personal because we have so much like love for each other that, you know, and I think we also, if there is anything that we did make each other feel a certain way, it's we can apologize. We're not too prideful to do that, and just saying like, again, we just know that we're human and we're not perfect, and I can't expect you to be perfect because I'm not going to be perfect. And it's just like having that understanding to each other, and give people grace. And I think I talked about this on the Bible study this morning, is that be like Jesus. You know, he's somebody that just loved on people. He has the most amount of grace and mercy for people, and who are we to judge? And I don't know sometimes like what you might be going through like internally, until we have the moment to catch up. And you know, and even then, like I don't know, like you probably don't tell me everything, but it's just knowing that I feel like I'm saying it again, but it's just really knowing that it's not personal. You know, they need, sometimes we need time for ourselves, and because we are so focused on, you know, giving to others, and you know, we spend a lot of time giving, you know, giving the time and helping others and things like that. Sometimes we also need to kind of have that time to ourselves, and maybe if we're go, maybe now we're getting into a position where we can't pour into each other as fully, you know. And so knowing that and just taking the time to do that so that I can you know, come back and be the best friend and the rock she needs, you know. I don't know if that answered your question.
It's so good. Yeah, you definitely answered. No, and I think it's just seeing that long-term goal. It's like these little bumps, these little discrepancies, like throughout the time going there, getting to that end goal is not going to take our eyes off of like where we're headed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it's just not holding that grudge. Like, I think that's a weight in your heart. Yeah. Grudges. And I think there's a difference between, because I think we've kind of gone through, you know, personally, and maybe you can relate to it, but when you have to determine holding a grudge versus really distancing yourself from a person. And I've never felt that way with you, but
you better not. I'm showing up at your door.
This podcast is built off of that. You're not allowed,
no, I know.
But no, and I think it's just like people hold grudges, and it's like, man, that's not serving anybody. It's like holding you back. It's actually magnifying a not so good trait about you. Is holding that grudge, right? And like you said, it's being more Jesus-like, where you give mercy, you give that love, and it's such a light feeling inside. You know, I have things personally too with like family I've gone through.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sure at one point we'll kind of get into that, but like, man, I had to really understand like I can't hold these grudges.
Yeah.
Because who am I to do that? You know, I'm not God. You know, and so not holding that grudge is very lifting, but also when there's people that unfortunately have not worked in themselves, or they have bad environments that are impacting them, like making them show up in a negative way, you have to protect your peace, right? So you have to know when to kind of cut that cord or when to close that door. So
some relationship is not worth staying. That's for sure. And then take the time to like write down like what are you getting from that relationship and what are you able to give that back. It's just like kind of analyzing that. And then also, when I think going back to what you said about going through challenges, and if there's any situation that arises, how do you, it's just learning also to not react to each other. I don't know if we ever had a situation where we're just like reactive to each other. Yeah, I don't think so. I think we take time. And then also, you know, if there's anything that you're like, oh, like you feel certain way, it's like, again, it goes back to, it's like, take time to think before. And again, because when people react out of emotion, you're going to make decisions and you're going to say things that you really don't mean in the heat of the moment. And that could really hurt somebody. You know, if there was something that, and I just reacted and I just said all these things just to, because when you're hurt in that moment, you want to hurt the other person, you know, and that's what I see in certain relationship. You know, they just want to, and even being in a relationship in the past, like what they, when they're mad, like that's what they would do. And then that word, even though they might have really not meant that, they're like, you know, I never meant that, but it still stings, still cuts you, you know. And you never want to be, I never want to hurt you. I never want to say things that I don't mean, you know. So it's just having that wisdom to just take a moment, think through, of also self-reflecting of what you could have done differently as well, right? Because it's not always that person, it all could be you and how you took it. But if you take the time and kind of realize, okay, let me look at the scenario and let me also self-observe, could I have done anything differently, you know? And maybe it was my tone of voice as well, because that's a big thing. Like the tone of voice matters.
It does. Honestly. No, and I think it's like not really what you say, but how you say it, you know, and
the message,
how do you perceive it, and that emotional maturity you really highlighted something that's so important in our friendship, is that we have that, I feel that sense of just emotional awareness. Yeah. And there's always room for growth, and you know, but I always do my best to like reflect on how I'm feeling in that moment. And even when we run into situations where I'm like, I don't agree with what you maybe just said, or maybe your vision or something that came up, let me stop in my tracks. Let me not go there. Like,
stop the tracks.
Stop it. Pull the cord. But just really catching that, you know, that thought, and knowing, again, out of love, always moving with love, you guys. Like, that's how we've been able to keep our friendship strong.
That's it. Drop the
Game
mic.
over. That's it. Gotta go. But no, honestly, it's like love, give what you expect. And we've said this, but we do that. We demonstrate that in our friendship. And it's 7 years in, but we're just getting started. And it's why people, again, always are drawn to our friendship, I feel like. And it's not, and I don't say this in a way to, you know, boast or brag, but I'm very proud of us to be able to hold it down like that. You know, there's only really 2 people in my life I have that with. You know, Nicole, shout out to you, Nicole. We've been friends since 3rd grade, but she knows, you know, Ellie, and she lives across the country, and same thing, very low maintenance, doesn't take things personal. And same thing with you, you know, and these are the 2 strong women in my life that I always feel I can go to when things hit the fan, when things are great, when I'm happy, you know,
thriving,
everything. It's just, I can go to you both and feel like uplifted even more, which, if that's even possible, you know,
just celebrating each other's win.
Yes.
Huge. Because, oh my gosh, I think that happens a lot. And women friendship, and you know, we touched on it, jealousy can happen, but truly, like, are people around you really, really happy for you when things go like things are going great for you,
Mhm.
you know, and you'll be able to see that. A lot of the times people make comments
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
you know, we know in the past that it's like these little slight comments that it's like they're happy for you, but then they're also, you know, I don't,
They're
what is the word for it?
well, it's a reflection of themselves, like we talked about earlier.
Mhm,
It's they're seeing what you're doing that they're not,
mhm,
so they can't truly be happy.
mhm,
And when there's these jokes, we
mhm.
we definitely
Yeah,
kid, like, we are not
we know we're
serious.
actually joking,
Yeah,
like
we actually are goofy, fun, like
because we're goofy to each other.
yeah, but I never will say something to try and, like, be a joke to hurt your
Yeah,
feelings, because that's another thing too I look out for in
yeah.
people, that if they joke in a way where it's kind of an insult, I'm
Mhm,
like, "Oh, man, I don't know about this person,"
mhm.
because if you can joke around like that, it's still words, right? Maybe
Yeah,
it's that tone that makes it seem like it's not an insult, but it's kind of backhanded.
yeah,
So we don't do that with each
backhanded.
other.
Yeah,
We're just straight
straight
up.
up,
You
straight up.
know?
Yeah, backhanded compliments. That is not
No go, not good for
not.
sure. Well, let's kind of start wrapping up on a few things that I think are really important to talk about too, is like where we're headed, as friends.
Mhm.
Um,
Ooh.
yeah.
That's what-
For the future. What do
Mhm.
you hope for our friendship like in the
I'll grow old
future?
together,
Yes,
know.
tell me.
Like it's gonna be so exciting because like I love that now you're creating a home
Mhm.
environment. They just got their first house together, and
Yes.
they're gonna be getting married. So that's like I'm looking forward to the wedding.
Mm.
And I at one point I just started dating, too.
Mhm.
and
Yes.
and
Hard
just
launch.
yeah, and but just being able to, have, double date, like just
Yes.
enjoy life, continue to
Absolutely.
build our organization, build a team, but just seeing different milestones, big milestones, and then having kids, and our kids are gonna be friends, and hopefully we get to be neighbors one day,
Yes.
and
One of our
travel the
properties.
world. Yeah, and I see us like working really hard,
Mhm.
and we'll continue to help people uh, down the road. We also want to travel, and I see us like taking all our family and just taking off to Europe for a month,
Yes.
and just yeah, that's what I see in our friendship, and just being able to laugh back to like even this time us talking about this podcast and how we started, and when we were in our 20s and in our 50s, we'll probably still be like laughing like this and being goofy.
You just want to
So
grow old with me.
yeah.
I
I
love you
love you.
too. And I see all those amazing things. I see us just traveling and new experiences, getting uncomfortable, doing like, I don't
Mhm.
know, like random things while
Yeah.
traveling, zip lining, like
Oh yeah.
random things.
Hmm.
I see us growing in our faith
Yeah.
still. I see us with our partners,
Hmm.
like having great moments. I also see the kids, the
Hmm.
young mini me's
I know.
being
And then
friends
they're
and
gonna be like, Auntie and the cats,
Auntie
Auntie
Ellie. Yes, I see all of that. And I
Yeah.
even see us just really proud of what we're doing,
Hmm.
because I already am like so proud of
Yeah.
what we've gone through so far. But just
Crazy.
still, again, looking back, I can see it just evolving and becoming stronger and us growing as even older women.
Hmm.
So
Old.
I can't believe it, but no, but it's
Oh.
all great things, and I just see our business thriving and impacting so many people around us, being an
Mhm.
inspiration. I see us going on tour,
Yeah. Let's go.
Mrs. Worldwide.
Can't stop us.
Yeah, can't stop, won't stop.
She's talking sense
Yeah,
right now.
talking real sense. But yes,
Keep
so
tuning in, guys.
yeah, keep tuning in, you guys. And before we wrap up, did you have any last questions or thoughts that you want to share?
um, I just want to say as a comment, I'm so proud of you. We already said it, but I love you and the amount of growth and the people that you're impacting truly. It's amazing. And being able to, I know you have a lot of conversation with Aj as well of
Mhm.
just sometimes he'll check you on certain thing
Mhm.
and being able to take it and not take offense to it, but grow from it, you
Mm.
know? And I admire that. And I think that's amazing because that's truly somebody that's willing to like become the best version of themselves and so that you can be the best for others around you, you know?
Mm.
So
Oh my
just more so
gosh, I
comments.
love this podcast. No, but thank you. Thank you so much. And it means it honestly is everything that you
Thanks.
see that in me and I see that in you and how you always bring people up. I'll always say that like you make people see and believe in themselves and grow. And that's like it's a gift
Mm.
and it's a big gift. And I'm just grateful that we're able to do this. And
Yay.
I can't wait till next episode. We will share, I think, maybe go more into a little bit more on our faith. So one of
Mhm.
the F's and maybe a little bit of fitness because that kind of goes hand in hand for me a little bit. But I think that'll be a great episode to talk about next. So
Amazing. Stay tuned for
stay
that.
tuned. We love
Thank
you
you for
guys.
tuning in.
Yeah, see you next time.
Bye.